Hello, and welcome to the 2025 Cornelius Candidate Forum, presented by the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce. Tonight's 2-hour session provides residents with the opportunity to hear directly from candidates, learn about their positions, and submit questions on issues that matter most to our community. Justin Ckezepis is your moderator. Let's join the action, live from Cornelius Town Hall.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce 2025 Cornelius Candidate Forum. My name is Brian Sisson. I'm the 2025 chair of the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce. Thank you all for coming out this evening. I'd like to thank our commissioner candidates for participating in this event so we can all learn about you and learn where you stand on the issues. I'd also like to thank the mayoral candidates who will be up next. Good luck to all three of you in the election this year. I'd like to especially thank WSIC for hosting this event for us and streaming it live so the residents of Cornelius can see it now and in the future. And with last thing, we have one more candidate forum this year. We did Davidson last week, and next week on the 9th of October, we have the Huntersville Candidate Forum at 7 o'clock at Huntersville Town Hall. So with that, I will turn it over to Justin Ckezepis, and it's all yours.
Something like that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Bill Russell and the Chamber of Commerce. We appreciate the opportunity again to broadcast tonight's 2025 Public Forum. We are in the town of Cornelius tonight at Cornelius Town Hall. We are live with the crowd. You guys go ahead and give yourselves a round of applause. Had some people come out tonight that want to be a part of the process. You can submit questions both in the room. Where is Vanna White? Where did she go? There she is in the back of the room right there. You can hand her your cards and she will bring them up here to Bill, and we will screen the cards. I will not read them verbatim. We will have no Ron Burgundy moments tonight. We will give it our best shot not to anyway. We appreciate all of the candidates being here as well. A couple of ground rules too before we get started. This is a forum, not a debate. So we will not have rebuttals back and forth should we find ourselves in that type of situation. We are broadcasting live, so I would ask for everyone to keep their language appropriate, for assuming that children are potentially listening and watching as well. And throughout the night, you will hear me pause for breaks. We will have one break in between the commissioner board as well, between that and the mayoral. So we will take a break in between the two sessions. But to kick things off, it's a great opportunity to introduce yourselves to those that don't know you. I'm just going to start left to right on the first question. I'll go and tell you. Last question, I'm going to go right to left. We're just going to do that way and be fair about it. So Commissioner Carney, you're sitting there here on my left. If you would introduce yourself and also say, why are you running for a town board commissioner?
Sure. Thank you so much. So Robert Carney, quick intro about myself. I am a North Carolina native, raised in Hickory, North Carolina. I've been in Lake Norman since 2007, in Cornelius specifically since 2015. My background is economic development, so I've spent the better part of 15 years focused on how to help communities grow in healthy, meaningful ways. And that's one of the main reasons why I'm running or running for re-election, is because Cornelius is at a critical time, and it has been. It's going through a lot of change very, very quickly. And I think that the community has become out of balance. I think we have had a substantial amount of residential overgrowth, which isn't anything abnormal. This is what happens to a community that's, got the lakefront proximity, that's just outside of Charlotte, like it is. Growth is a natural phenomenon, but if you're not very aggressive about how you grow, then you can have some things that don't fare so well for the community. I've specialized in working with communities and helping them manage growth and do it appropriately so that you're balanced. You're not only a residential community, but you're also an employment center, and you also have all the amenities that communities really enjoy. So I also have my wife, who should be arriving any moment now, with our daughter from soccer and our son. So Erica and my two children, Allie and John. So if Allie is smelly, it's because she just came from soccer. She's been working really hard, so I apologize preemptively. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Mr. Carney. Mr. DeVoney, I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong. DeVoney. Mr. DeVoney, please introduce yourself, and why are you running for town board?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. My name is Mike DeVoney. Can you hear me okay? Yes. Great. I don't know these mics. I was born into a service family. I was actually born in England because my dad was in the United States Air Force for 20 years. By the time I was in the 6th grade, I'd been to 5 different elementary and kindergarten schools, so we moved a lot. In a service family, you learn about service, you learn about commitment. On the other hand, my mom was in public health, so she was also in public service. And they both were in those types of positions their entire lives. In 1972, my dad retired from the Air Force and immediately ran for commissioner, town councilman is what it was actually called, in Altamont Springs, Florida. So half my life was spent everywhere. The other half, up until I was in college, was in Florida. So I identify as a Floridian. But my family, my wife and daughter and I moved here in 2018, and I had been moving constantly for corporate jobs, corporate reloads. But our daughter, who's a freshman in high school right now, was in the 2nd grade when we moved here. I promised her we wouldn't move again until she was at least out of college. So we're here for the duration. Like my dad, that means, because I'm not moving every couple of 2-3 years, I can provide what he did, which is public service. So I'm running as a public service, as somebody that is got several different capabilities and expertise, one of which is spend management. I've worked on various supply chain issues for 40 years and ended up as a consultant to people like Duke Energy, Johnson & Johnson, the TVA, Southern California Edison, helping them determine how they're going to spend money. Spend management programs are a supply chain branch, and it's something I'm good at. So I can provide public service to this town by helping with that. And the reason I'm running in particular is something that you just said, which is running for balance. In my view, it would be helpful. I happen to be the chair of the Democrats in North Mecklenburg. It would be helpful to have some balance on our town board that reflects progressive values. That's another voice. I have policy ideas that might be different than what the town has looked at before, but with the business experience and the will to serve, these are the reasons I'm running, to give people an alternative to existing board members.
Thank you, Mr. DeVoney. Thank you for being here tonight. Mr. Furcht, if you would please introduce yourself and why are you running for town board?
Really good to see you, Justin, and thank you everybody for coming out. This is a great turnout. It's unusual to have this many folks in town hall sometimes, so grateful. I know we all believe that this is a good thing. So I'm Colin Furcht. You probably remember me from 4 years ago when I ran the first time, and several of us that ran together were fortunate enough to become commissioners, and the last time didn't work out so well, but I'm grateful to be on the planning board today, so I'm still part of the community from that perspective. I've lived here in Cornelius for over 20 years. I've been active in the community in a number of ways. Some of you may know about the Lake Norman Lighted Christmas Boat Parade, which is something I started several years ago to give back to the community. And so I live here, I work here, I work from home, so it's important to me that every decision that any board makes is going to benefit everyone in the community. The question comes up, why are you running again? Because this was one of the most treasured jobs that I've had in my career as a commissioner before. And I kind of missed it this last go round, but I wanted to make sure I took another shot at it, and hopefully the folks will agree. But if not me, who? And we joke about this. If you go down the list of folks that have run for office in this town, there's really not many. A lot of folks, they kind of wait and see how it's going to turn out. But I think that there's several of us here that come forward and say, hey, I'll raise my hand and I'll do the work with you and for you. And I think that's what's most important. I'll speak for myself, and certainly my peers will probably feel the same way. But I think it's important that you want to put folks in these roles that really care about the overall community. And that's certainly something I do have.
Thank you, Mr. Furcht. Ms. Johnson, please introduce yourself and tell us, why are you running for town board?
Hey there. My name is Susan Johnson, and I'm a current commissioner and looking for re-election. Like Robbie, I also grew up not too far from here, born in Charlotte, and then moved to a small town, Stanley, which is about 30 minutes from here. So native to the area. I've been very focused on serving our community. Prior to the 2 years before becoming a commissioner, I actually served for 10 years, 8 years on the planning board, and the last 2 of which I was the chair. I also worked on the Growth Management Task Force, which did updates to our land use plan. So very focused on our community. My background is in real estate. I've been in real estate for about 20 years and a local business owner as well. And it's really important for us to actually take care of our local businesses. And I know a lot of us and a lot of you are in the room own businesses within our areas. And that's one of the things that we focus on, preserving Cornelius and making sure that we make good decisions that not only impact our citizens, but our local business owners as well. I am a mom of 2 boys. Both my boys are in college, and I am navigating the life of an empty nester this year. So that's been new and different. I'm very passionate about Cornelius, and I'm running just to, again, be a voice and be an advocate for our citizens, focusing on public safety, on transparent communication, on improved infrastructure, and, just smart managed growth, as Commissioner Carney mentioned. That's something that we all really want to strive to do. So thank you very much, and I appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Mr. Osbourne, please introduce yourself and tell us, why are you running for town board?
Thanks, Justin. Hi, I'm Michael Osbourne, a husband and proud father of 2. I've also served as one of your commissioners for the last 3.5 years. You elected me because we were tired of being shut out of decisions affecting our town. Since then, I've put citizens back in charge. First, developers no longer out-talk our residents. Now you get equal speaking time at public hearings. Second, I bet on citizens over consultants. The growth management task force I led created our land use plan. It strongly communicates that we will no longer approve high-density residential projects like the ones coming out of the ground on West Catawba Avenue right now. Third, I transformed our Transportation Advisory Board into a solutions factory. Nearly 100 improved projects have been captured and prioritized for town board consideration. Finally, you and people watching from home shaped our parks and downtown's future through multiple public forums and backed it with $20 million. I'll vote to acquire land before it's gone forever. When we trust citizens to lead, Cornelius wins. I've proven what we can do together. I'm asking for your vote to keep citizens in charge of Cornelius's future. And the reason that I'm running, Justin, is because I want to make Cornelius the best lakefront community in all of North Carolina.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sansbury, thank you for being here tonight. If you would introduce yourself and also tell us, why are you running for town board?
Yeah, thank you, Justin. Thank you, WSIC, and thank you, Bill and Brian in the chamber. My name is Todd Sansbury, and I'm a current town commissioner. I'm a native Carolinian, and I've been in Cornelius for 20 plus years. I want to thank my wife, Heather, for being here tonight in the front row. The reason I ran, much like some of these other individuals, was about 4 years ago, I saw some allegedly smart people on the board making decisions that I didn't think were the best for the community. I'm a firm believer that citizens should hold their elected officials accountable, and there were a lot of decisions being made that I think benefited a select few and did not benefit the majority of citizens in Cornelius. I think our goals over the past 4 years have been extremely important. We have advanced road projects. We've kept fire and police fully staffed and compensated. And most importantly, we preserved green space. And that is really one of my biggest important factors in being a commissioner. I have voted against projects that would have destroyed our precious tree canopy. And I voted for projects that will extend our parks and greenways. I voted for economic opportunities such as Atrium. And I voted to lower or eliminate any tax increases. To me, that's what I hear from citizens, and that is the most important thing. It's funny, on average, we add about $3 million to our annual budget every year. So with financially sound decisions, there really is no need to burden citizens with additional taxes when a sound, intelligent, pragmatic board can make decisions that keep this town safe and beautiful and strong. I hope to do that for another 2 years with your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sansbury. I have been handed several questions. I can tell you there's quite the variety already this evening, so I'm going to dive into one of the lightest topics possible, transportation. And so I will start with you, Mr. Osbourne. I'm going to ask you the question. Do you support the potential sales tax increase and support of transportation in the current form with the 3 different aspects of dollars for roads, dollars for rail, and dollars for buses?
Justin, absolutely. That's 100% yes for me. I happen to sit not only on our town's Transportation Advisory Board, but also our region's planning organization, which is called the CRTPO. One of the things that I've come to realize is that the entire state has a funding issue. For all the projects that have already been approved and quote unquote funded for our region, there's already a $500 million shortfall. There's another list of projects that have been prioritized, and there are several $1 billion in shortfall for those projects. It is my decision that their conclusion that if we don't get this funding that comes with for funding for our roads, we will need to raise taxes to build the infrastructure we want, or we just won't have the infrastructure that we need.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Furcht, I'll ask you the same question. Do you support the upcoming sales tax increase in its entirety that includes dollars for roads, dollars for rail, and dollars for buses?
So I'll start my answer with, I'm glad it's going to the people, because I don't think any local government should make a decision of that size. So I'm grateful that the people are going to get to decide. To be completely frank, I have my concerns on both sides. I lived here when the half a cent tax was put in place, and when we never really saw much of that. I know there's language in the new bill that would offset that. So that part I'm okay with. I haven't really been convinced that Cornelius and the surrounding towns are mass transit towns. I don't know yet. We're going to find out on Election Day when folks decide how they want to play this. I certainly will support whatever decision is made by the people, but I'm not 100% convinced either way right now that this is something that we need in this town.
Thank you, Mr. Furcht. Mr. DeVoney, same question to you. Do you support the upcoming sales tax increase proposal in its entirety that includes dollars for roads, dollars for rail, and dollars for buses?
I support it wholeheartedly. I know that there were negotiations that upped the percentage that went to roads from this sales tax, but in our area, particularly our city, it is vital that we get ahead of where we are now with road development. We have 13 major projects just in Cornelius, and many of them are languishing because of state funding problems. We can help it along with our own sales tax, cash infusion, and get things done. On the other side of that is I am very supportive of a commuter rail system. I think it will help with affordability in our town. People work here, but they can't afford to live here. If it's easier to get here through the rail system, that will provide some balance in the employees, thank you, and the local infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. DeVoney. Mr. Sansbury, same question for you. Do you support the upcoming potential sales tax increase in its entirety that includes dollars for roads, dollars for rail, and dollars for buses?
Thanks, Justin. This is a little tough for me because I typically don't vote in favor of tax increases. But like Michael said, we have a severe transportation shortfall. There are a lot of road projects that need to be funded, and we're going to need a funding mechanism. If you read the legislation, it's actually a pretty good piece of legislation. There's some flexibility in there that offers solutions beyond just rail. So that's incredibly important. And I think to Colin's point, the vote is going before the citizens. They'll have the ultimate say, and that's the most important thing because they live this every single day. So I do suggest that we need a funding mechanism, and we do need transportation solutions. But it's up to the people to decide if this is the right piece of legislation. If it's not, we need to implement something in order to correct this issue.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson, same question for you. Do you support the upcoming sales tax increase potentially in its entirety that includes dollars for roads, dollars for rail, and dollars for buses?
Thank you for the question. Like Colin, I'm very happy that this is going before the people, and that's the whole what we're all about is listening to our citizens, listening to our constituents. What is it that they want? I will tell you, I am for it, and here's the reason why: is because if you've ever gone down Ckezepis trying to cross over the DDI or trying to go down Ckezepis, in any direction, it's very difficult. I live about a mile from here, and it could take me anywhere from 6 minutes to 50 minutes to get here. We desperately need help in our roads. And so the other thing is this sales tax, it actually will not just be our citizens, it'll be people who actually come through our towns that can also help with that tax.
Thank you. Mr. Carney, do you support the upcoming proposed sales tax increase in its entirety that includes dollars for roads, dollars for rail, and dollars for buses?
Justin, thank you for the question. Yeah, I am in support of it myself. I think my current commissioners as well as candidates have made some really good points thus far. Just a couple things on top of that is, yeah, the road needs are incredible, and there is no funding mechanism in place today that is going to solve the issues that we have at the moment. We can go back in history and say what the state should have done. That's not going to get us anywhere. We're having to deal with the problem of moment. One of the things I would like to point out that we've been really talking about is the sales tax dollars generated and how beneficial it will be, especially whenever combined together with our counterparts, our neighboring communities around Lake Norman, and some of the real issues that we'll be able to address. But also what we've talked about is it's like the dog that caught the car. To have something like this, you have to think about how are you going to plan along that rail corridor so that it is truly something that's uniquely a blessing to the community and not a blight. If you do not get ahead of planning around something like this, you can have some things that don't fare as well for the community. Thank you.
Thank you all for your honesty on that question. I know that you've probably been asked that many times, and so we appreciate you being willing to say that. Speaking of relationships at the state level, that's this next question here. If you had 30 seconds with the governor or NCDOT secretary, what would you ask for Cornelius right now? And Mr. DeVoney, I'm going to start with you.
I'd ask for help with the right-of-way funding for the West Ckezepis expansion.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Let's go, Mr. Sansbury. If you had 30 seconds with the governor or NCDOT secretary, what would you ask for Cornelius right now?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So for every dollar that we spend on improved transportation, the state currently gives us about $14, but that's still not enough to get us where we need to be. I would ask for continued funding, for continued focus on North Mecklenburg and actually the western part of North Carolina, which tends to be underfunded. One of the most important things that we could probably implement would be an exit 27, because that would alleviate a lot of traffic, not just for the interstate and for our community, but for the entire surrounding area.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Carney, if you had 30 seconds with the governor or NCDOT secretary, what would you ask for Cornelius right now?
Sure. Thank you for the question. So I would ask for prioritization of exit 27. First and foremost, basically the engineering design of that came out at such a large price that it basically got taken out of consideration. We think that engineering study was poorly done, and if managed better, it would actually come into the necessary threshold to where it would meet a very, very high prioritization for the region. And so that would be one of the first things that we had a discussion about.
Mr. Furcht, if you had 30 seconds with the governor or NCDOT secretary, what would you ask for Cornelius right now?
Well, first I would say thank you, because we have 13 projects already in place. Now, that may not seem like something to thank folks for, but if you look around at the surrounding towns, we have more road projects than most of our peers. So that part I would be grateful for. However, on the flip side of that, and I think we all would agree, a lot of these projects are taking a whole lot longer than we would expect them to and hope that they would. So to use Robbie's word, prioritization, I would ask that they add additional resources to the projects that are already underway, and then certainly fast track the ones that are on maybe the tail end of that list, because at the end of the day, having these projects on a spreadsheet is really nice, but if it's not coming to fruition, I think that's the biggest challenge.
Ms. Johnson, if you had 30 seconds with the governor or NCDOT secretary, what would you ask for Cornelius right now?
Personally, I would ask for the widening of Ckezepis. I think that that is a severe need that we have in our community, and widening that would alleviate a lot of the traffic congestion that we currently have today. And that project has been on the step the longest of any project that we have requested. So it just continues to get kicked down the road, and we need prioritization for that particular project now.
Thank you. Mr. Osbourne, if you had 30 seconds with the governor or NCDOT secretary, what would you ask for Cornelius right now?
So funny enough, I have a meeting coming up in October later this month, not with the governor, but with someone from the DOT. It's our new engineer rep. And I know what I'm going to ask him. I'm going to show him the pattern of delays that we've had. We've had over 32 delays on 8 projects. It typically falls into 4 categories. It's usually either right-of-way acquisition, utility relocation, or a reanalysis of the project itself, or funding with issue as a whole. And when you see this happen 32 times, it's a process problem. There's a major issue with the process. So I'm going to ask him these 3 things. 1, what will you do to establish utility coordination agreements earlier? 2, what are you going to do to increase right-of-way staff resources to set time limits moving forward? And 3, how are you going to secure more predictable funding for the towns? Because, Justin, here's the thing. If the projects that we were given didn't have these delays, we would already have them. Our roads would not be in the situation that they're in today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to another light topic, affordable housing. Mr. Furcht, how do you intend to balance the need for affordable housing with the lack of support for high-density housing?
Well, I think we need to change the word, because I think affordable housing is not really what we're focused on. It's more workforce housing. And I think that's really what we've done in the past, is focused on how do we get our teachers, fire, police, folks that work in the town. So to use the word affordable is a very gray word. What does that mean, right? But I think workforce housing is really more appropriate. But I would say that we've already had discussions with developers in the area, the Mills project being one of them that was approved several years ago, that I was pleased to approve. And there was a percentage of those units that were assigned for workforce housing. And I think we can do that going forward to help that process. Is it going to fix the problem overall? Probably not holistically, but I think we can make small steps to impact that.
Thank you. Mr. Carney, how do you intend to balance the need for affordable housing with the lack of support for high-density housing?
Yeah, that is truly probably one of the more difficult questions I think you'll have asked this board, or at least myself, tonight. One of the things is empowerment of our Lake Norman CDC. We have an organization that's developed and dedicated specifically for this, that's kind of navigating this as far as how do we provide affordable housing product, and how do we also manage the fact that we're a community that is strained with our infrastructure. So where we put it is just as important as anything else. Leveraging loans, not from the municipality, but from other entities, grants from various sources, and then also engaging the private sector. I think they have a very, very real place in this discussion that we need to be leveraging, and I don't know that discussion has really fully been developed as much as possible. But really, whenever it comes down to it, it's picking the appropriate corridors where you can have higher density, because what all developers are asking for is, we'll get you your more affordable housing. You got to give us more density. You have to be very, very specific and very strategic about where you pick those corridors to do so.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sansbury, how do you intend to balance the need for affordable housing with the lack of support for high-density housing?
Yeah, well, I don't think there's necessarily a lack of support for high-density housing. I think to Robbie's point, there's a lack of support for overwhelming building of high-density housing. As far as workforce housing, the CDC and Smithville Community Coalition have a really strong plan and funding moving forward to accomplish this. As a matter of fact, the town invested about $4.5 million into infrastructure to support affordable housing projects. So I think to the point, it's got to be a community effort, right? Community effort, a private effort. But it's something that we also have to be a little brave and courageous and say, look, there's a balance between high density housing and workforce housing, and we can provide that so the citizens can benefit from both.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Osbourne, how do you intend to balance the need for affordable housing with the lack of support for high-density housing?
Yeah, this is certainly a complex issue, and I am thankful that we have the CDC to do this, privately, as opposed to the town or the state, trying to foot the bill for this all the time. I've got a couple major questions about affordable housing as it's been presented. One, typically when you build affordable housing, there's no requirement for it to stay that way forever. So what gets built today as affordable doesn't necessarily remain affordable after 8 years, and then we're right back to square one. So I would encourage us to continue to look at programs that have worked in our community, like Habitat for Humanity, where they did mortgage assistance and down payment assistance and education, and help our workforce get established in a home, be part of our community, owning that home, and ride that equity wave that typically happens with owning a home as opposed to just rental assistance.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Johnson, how do you intend to balance the need for affordable housing with the lack of support for high-density housing?
Like these guys have said, I'm so very thankful for the CDC. It came out of the Mayoral Housing Committee that that I was a part of several years ago. And through those efforts, the CDC was born. And they have done a tremendous job of purchasing homes within our community as well as renting existing homes to provide that affordable housing option that some may not necessarily be able to attain themselves. The other thing is, for future development, to require higher percentages of affordable housing per development. I think that certainly could help in the way of increasing the amount of affordable housing opportunities. And then just in general, our town already provides some assistance to our workforce, to our police, fire, and other folks. So I think, with continued efforts from the town, we could certainly help to address the workforce housing piece of that.
Thank you. Mr. DeVoney, how do you intend to balance the need for affordable housing with the lack of support for high-density housing?
Thank you for the question. It's very difficult because the two are in opposition. But one of the things I just heard, I agree with fundamentally, and that where is very important. Also the what, rephrasing it and saying workforce housing. What about affordable housing being first home buyer housing? First home buyer housing, people starting their lives together, building a family in this community are hard pressed to find a place to live in this community. So if we find the right places, I'm for all the charitable works that the town does now through organizations like Habitat for Humanity. That's all good, but it's also a drop in the bucket. To make an influential difference for workforce housing, for first home buyer housing, we have to decide where those houses will be and then commit to single unit houses, commit to standards that help the property values of our town, don't harm it or overburden the infrastructure.
Thank you, sir. A question specifically about the Smithville community. Ms. Johnson, how do you think best to identify and implement solutions for the needs related to the Smithville community?
Smithville already has a revitalization plan that they have in place and that we as a town adopted several years ago. I think that they put a lot of great effort and great research into putting that plan together. And now it's just a matter of actually implementing that plan. And we certainly have as a town, assisted with the implementation of that as far as infrastructure goes, stormwater management, some of the things that are required up front before you can actually move forward with the actual building of what they anticipate that project or that plan to look like. So, I think that following through with the existing plan would be the best thing for Smithville.
Thank you. Mr. Furcht, how do you think best to identify and implement the resources that address the needs related to the Smithville community?
So to Susan's point, I was actually commissioner when this was approved several years ago, and I think it was a great plan for that part of town. It needed our help. There is a significant amount of dollars that the state helped us with. There's a significant amount of the project that the town is helping out with, sewer, water, curb. And so I think we continue down that path. I do hope that the team in the Smithville Coalition continues the good work that's been done up to this point. Certainly we would like to see some continued actions to make sure that the plan does come together. This is a group effort. This is not just the town making a decision. This is working with the community. And so I'm pleased with the plan as it was delivered to us several years ago. And I think we just need to continue down that path.
Thank you, sir. Mr. DeVoney, how do you think best to identify and implement resources related to the needs of the Smithville community?
Thank you for the question. This is a vital commitment that the community, the state, the county, the town made to the Smithville community. And it's been funded, but it hasn't been paid. It hasn't been moved forward through execution. Some work has been done, some things have been paid for, but it lags not prioritization, but speed. There are supply chain issues, contract policies that had to be checked and double checked for contractors to come out. And it just starts to sound like bureaucracy keeping good works and a positive decision by the town to keep it from being finished. So it isn't prioritization, it's speed, it's policy, it's look at what you've already funded and get the job completed. Everybody agrees it should be done. It needs to be done now.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Carney, how do you think best to identify and implement resources related to the needs of the Smithville community?
Sure. Thank you for the question. So, Smithville is undergoing their revitalization plan. The town of Cornelius has already invested millions of dollars in helping to assist in that plan. We've been actually, Susan and I both are on a grant committee that the Smithville community brought forth a concept plan that they needed funding assistance with, for which we approved that. Actually, when we were in DC recently, earlier this year, one of the key most topics that we were lobbying our federal legislators about was the assistance that is currently needed in the Smithville community, and we'll certainly commit and continue that, as well as working with Mecklenburg County. They've been a partner along the way in this. It's going to take a lot of us all working together to really address the need the way it needs to be addressed. And so we're doing that, but we're also trying to actually help Smithville community as far as their fiscal and fiduciary responsibility of their management of the project as well. They've had a loss recently of one of their key partners, so we've been trying to fill in that gap and help them as best we possibly can.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Osbourne, how do you think best to identify and implement resources related to the needs of the Smithville community?
You know, one thing that I would do is when we talk about Smithville, I wouldn't always refer to it as it's a different community. Smithville is Cornelius, and Cornelius is Smithville. So it's our community. So I'd take care of it like I would take care of any other community. We currently have a small area plan in place for that community. And I fully support the small area plan that's been put in place. It took them about 12 years to get to that point in time. And we helped get that along and approve it. Also, because they are one of the longest standing historical Black communities in all of the Charlotte metro area, I think there are some unique opportunities for them, and it's unique opportunities for the town to help advocate on their behalf. I think we can go to the state. I think we can go to the federal government. We can go to the county on their behalf and help process requests for funding and help them achieve additional funds for that. And then, see to it that those funds get applied and that the town gets developed. But I also would look at developing all of the eastern part of Cornelius. A revitalized downtown is also going to help that Smithville community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sansbury, how do you think best to identify and implement resources related to the needs of the Smithville community?
Yeah, thank you, Justin. Smithville is a very proud community, and I think the town has or will continue to be a strong partner in preserving the history. The $9 million of ARPA funds that the town received, we did commit over half of that to invest in Smithville. You asked specifically about resources. We also have about 7 parcels of land in that community that we're working with Smithville to make sure they can have access to and be part of their plan. And I think the biggest thing, Robbie alluded to it, Smithville has been on our legislative agenda for the past 4 years. So every time we make a trip to Raleigh and DC, we lobby, we advocate for additional resources for that community, and we will continue to do so. So between the town and the county and the state, and honestly at the federal level, I think we're going to continue to make that a strong and vibrant community, and we'll continue to fight for that.
Thank you. Moving on to the arts. In the past, the town has been very supportive of Kane Center. How high of a priority is supporting Kane Center to you? Ms. Johnson.
I'm a huge proponent of the arts. I think that Kane Center certainly brought to Cornelius something that we were absolutely lacking, which was a place that you could go see a show. You could, learn how to draw, whatever, learn how to kiln, which I still haven't done yet, but it looks really cool. So I do think that the town has absolutely done a great job with supporting. To Robbie's point, in the grant committee, we actually every year have continued to assist the Kane Center with funds to make sure that they actually are able to thrive and to get to where they can be fully funded without having to look at the support from the town. So, I think that with what Kane Center brings and our downtown master plan and what we are trying to do in conjunction with both of those, I think it's going to be a really great thing.
Thank you. Mr. Sansbury, the town in the past has been very supportive of the Kane Center. How high of a priority is supporting Kane Center to you?
Yeah, we're really fortunate to have the Kane Center. It's really kind of the hallmark of downtown. If you familiarize yourself with the master plan, we're looking at an entire arts district, and the Kane Center is the centerpiece of that. So it is a high priority from a funding perspective. And as Susan alluded to, it appeals to a lot of different community members for a variety of different activities. So moving forward, we're going to continue to work closely with them. They have a really strong business plan to not necessarily become self-funded, but to become more self-sufficient. We support them in that endeavor, but we'll continue to support them financially and move forward to help them ensure that we continue to serve all the citizens of Cornelius.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Carney, the town in the past has been very supportive of the Kane Center. How high of a priority is supporting Kane Center to you?
Yeah, thank you, Justin. So the Kane Center is certainly a priority. It's very rare that if you look across downtowns across the state, for them to have an anchoring asset that actually creates identity. It's probably one of the things whenever you talk about downtown revitalization and development, the first question they ask is, what is going to drive people into this subject area? And for Cornelius, we're blessed. We have the Kane Center. We have the Kane Center, not only what it is today, but what it's trying to become for tomorrow, at the same time that we're redeveloping and we're doing a downtown master plan. So it's a tremendous qualitative asset. There's quantitative, there's things that generate revenue and income, and then there's qualitative things that generate quality of life for the community. And the Kane Center certainly does that, and it's a regional thing. I mean, we have people coming from all over the Charlotte region that are coming up and now getting to see and spend money in downtown Cornelius. That's a blessing for us.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Osbourne, the town in the past has been very supportive of the Kane Center. How high of a priority is supporting Kane Center to you?
Thank you, Justin. Yes, the Kane Center has received a lot of support from the town, and the town had a lot of courage, in the initial days of supporting it and the funds that went to it and the commitments the town made. And I'm glad they did, and I think we're all benefiting from that. But I would like to see the Kane Center wean themselves off of the town and get more reliant on themselves as any good business. I think that will challenge them to uncover the opportunities to make them even better than what they are today. I think there's an opportunity for the town to work with the Kane Center where we're aligned in what we're trying to create, like a festival street or more events and things of this nature, that the Kane Center might be better at organizing or, might be a great set of hands, to help the town organize. And I would be happy to work with the Kane Center in that way to make sure that they're receiving some funding that they need as they transition. But, as successful as that was for the town to provide them with that seed money, I don't think it's our job necessarily to continue to fund them. And I'd like to see that seed money go to other development opportunities within our town.
Thank you, sir. Mr. DeVoney, the town in the past has been very supportive of the Kane Center. How high of a priority is supporting Kane Center to you?
Extremely important. Our family regularly attends concerts and comics that are there. It's a great program. It's a very successful anchor to the 2050 plan. It's very, every act, every comic that we've seen has gushed about how great the facility is and how beautiful it is. We can see that it's part of our new downtown. but it also, as a regional asset, brings people to Cornelius, gives us that identity. So while it's a great anchor, I don't believe we should be truing it up forever. In other words, self-sufficiency becomes a goal that we need to help them move towards.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Furcht, the town has been very supportive in the past of the Kane Center. How high of a priority is supporting Kane Center to you?
Well, it certainly was a priority to the town when this idea came up, and $25-30 million of private money came forward. So I think from a town perspective, it certainly is a priority, and it's done a fantastic job filling that need that we've had here in town. But I agree with some of my peers. At some point, the town needs to be engaged to a certain level. I think it would be exciting to see them come up with a plan where the town isn't supporting as much as they are. I'm not saying cut them off completely, but I think the success of the Kane Center is driven by the folks in the community. And because they are doing so well, I think it remains a priority. It's certainly the epicenter of the town right now. I'm sure the restaurants and businesses in town, are doing very well, especially on the nights that there is something. And so I continue to want to support that. I just think that the level of that support is a discussion that needs to be had going forward.
Thank you, sir. Moving to downtown. How do you think best to balance growing downtown while maintaining Cornelius's small town charm? Ms. Johnson.
So one of the things that I love about Cornelius is when you drive east on Catawba, all of the large trees and just the canopy there is just so beautiful. And that's one of the things as we were looking at the downtown master plan was to make sure that we were able to maintain that small town feel. As you drive through Cornelius, you get the trees, you get, the small houses. And then you get to an area like, having Festival Street, having the downtown, specific downtown area be the thriving focal point where you have restaurants, you've got walkability, social district. So I think that you could certainly you could blend both of those two things and have an attractive downtown. And the master plan that we are currently in process of finalizing certainly has all of those aspects. And then we just have to make sure that we actually implement what we are putting in place for the downtown master plan.
Thank you. Mr. Osbourne, how do you think best to balance growing downtown while maintaining Cornelius's small town charm?
So I think all the workshops that we went through with our citizens really helped us with the downtown master plan. And I think that the master plan itself did a great job in capturing, the Cornelius identity. Making sure that we're encouraging gathering places where people feel comfortable walking to or riding their bikes to, or even driving and stopping and walking around to different locations, restaurants, coffee shops, bars, etc. I think will contribute to that feeling of small town environment that we're looking for. The ongoing concerts, festivals, the Festival Street itself. And I think as well, it'll be very important to include our business owners as we start to develop this. I would like to create a business prosperity task force across the town with our business owners where we bring them in. We've got a wealth of knowledge in our business community. I'd like to see them more engaged and involved, and I think that they'll have a lot of ideas for making that happen as well.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Furcht, how do you think best to balance growing downtown while maintaining Cornelius's small town charm?
Well, as someone who sits on the current planning board and has been part of the growth plan for downtown, I think there's many aspects of that I think we hit the nail on the head. Is it perfect? No. But I think we continue to look at ways to keep that old town feel, add the businesses, add residential where it's appropriate. Certainly the Mills project is going to be a big piece of that, even though it hasn't even started yet. But I think it's important to continue to listen to the community. I think everything we've done as a town, between the board and the planning board, we give everyone as much input as physically possible. We did that during the growth management task force. And so I think the community has some great ideas. I think we continue to listen to those. And I think every step of the way, we just continue to get feedback. And I think that's what really we need to focus on is, we all live here. What do we want for our kids?
Thank you. Mr. DeVoney, how do you think best to balance growing downtown while maintaining Cornelius's small town charm?
Thank you for the question. This question, in my mind, boils down to if you're attracting people to an area where there are traffic problems, you have to have a place to park, a way to get in and get out. So the infrastructure issue there is if you build it, they will come. And that's what's happened with Kane and these other projects that are on the books. I firmly support the downtown development plan, but we have to think about how people are going to get in and out. And one of those opportunities with a commuter rail is that people coming to a large event can park their car wherever the station is and take the train to Cornelius instead of driving to Cornelius. So there's some synergy with the transportation plan and the need to be able to move people in and out of what will end up being a congested area, a beautiful, vibrant, attractive area, but one where we have to figure out how we're going to get cars in and out.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sansbury, how do you think best to balance growing downtown while maintaining Cornelius's small town charm?
Yeah, thank you, Justin. I don't think growing doesn't necessarily mean losing your charm. As Mike alluded to, we had either 4 or 6 listening sessions where we brought citizens in, and they literally had Post-it notes, and they were putting up on the board what was important to them from a town perspective. They got to see visually in the master plan, and they got to provide input. If I remember correctly, trees, walkability, and maybe architectural history were 3 of the most important things. So it's incumbent upon the board. We have to challenge developers to make sure we maintain that. We need to be in the driver's seat. We don't need to accept a project that comes to us if it doesn't meet the requirements that the citizens put into place. We did so with Mills Market. We had them maintain some architectural structure. We had them put in a parking garage, and we had them add amenities that were really important to downtown. So I am confident that with the right leadership, you can accomplish both.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Carney, how do you think best to balance growing downtown while maintaining Cornelius's small town charm?
Sure. Thank you for the question. So I agree with a lot of the comments the candidates and peers have made. So I'm going to attack this maybe from a different angle, just for perspective's sake. When you say like keeping small town charm, really probably what you're more alluding to, or at least the community I've known and talked to, is basically saying residential overgrowth. Okay, so the first thing we've talked to whenever we've done this downtown master plan is I say that developers, master planners, it's a cheat code to basically say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to smash as much residential in, and then whatever retail we do makes sense because you've grown the necessary residential to where it will support it. That's cheating, and that's how we've basically approached this. We've said, no, we're not handling it that way. We're going to think about business and business incubation first, and then we're going to let the communities like Antiquity, Smithville, all these communities that are already connected, thinking about how they can move from where they're at into our downtown. And that's really kind of the challenge that we have as a board and as electeds, is saying, how do we say no? Oh, I'm getting the stop. But this is a key component of how you develop a downtown, as you think about being an employment center first.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to read this next card verbatim just so I don't get yelled at. Please keep your answers as short as possible. Do you believe in placing a cap on residential development in Cornelius? Mr. Furcht.
I think it would be difficult to come up with a number of what that is. I think it depends. I'm not certainly and haven't been in support of any high density residential. We've voted against a lot of that. So I don't know establishing a cap is the right answer. I think establishing the proper use of that land for residential or not is the right answer.
Thank you, sir. Mr. DeVoney, please keep your answer as short as possible. Do you believe in placing a cap on residential development in Cornelius?
Thank you for the question. I believe in ratcheting it down and being thoughtful and prudent when we add residential, when we take those zoning cases and say yes. But I have to Colin's point, I have no way of knowing how one would set a limit on units, on dollars, on acres. It'd be very difficult to manage if you said we have a limit of X, and then the developers would work on getting around X to Y. So it really becomes our role as planning and accepting zoning projects when they come up and saying yes or no based on not a litmus test, but what the priorities of the town are. downtown development should be focused on businesses who can pull their own weight and build their own parking garages. Thank you. But as a town, we make that decision every time there's a meeting with regard to zoning. We don't need to set an artificial cap.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Carney, please keep your answer as short as possible. Do you believe in placing a cap on residential development in Cornelius?
I do not. In my humble experience, listening to the community, they've said we want quality of life and we want Cornelius to be vibrant. The communities that have done that have become very anemic very quickly and actually started to really suffer. Managing density is really the biggest issue that everybody has. Is we're seeing a lot of requests that this is R2, 2 units per acre, and then they say, but we don't want to do that. We want to do 5 units per acre, 10 units. Managing that appropriately is going to help establish some balance for us.
Thank you. Mr. Sansbury, please keep your answer as short as possible. Do you believe in placing a cap on residential development in Cornelius?
Yeah, well, good question. I think we've already done that through the land use plan, which isn't a cap. It has guardrails and it defines where you should place residential versus commercial. So I think we've already done that. And the great thing about the land use plan is it provides a conditional zoning pathway. So if someone wants to go outside of the land use plan, they have to come and present to the board, and we can make a judicious agreement on whether that's the best for the town. So I think we probably already have that in place. It's not a cap, but it's definitive guardrails to help decide what's best for our community.
Thank you. Mr. Osbourne, please keep your answer as short as possible. Do you believe in placing a cap on residential development in Cornelius?
I believe in doing everything that we can do to limit high-density residential apartments in our community. I think we've been able to do that. We did that through Growth Management Task Force that I helped facilitate, and we reduced the max capacity on West Catawba Avenue by 70%. It's a matter of where you want the density and where you don't. You might want it downtown. You might not want it down Catawba Avenue. I was a no vote on the Cashmere project because you can have it in the land use plan, but if you don't follow it, then it doesn't do you any good. And that's my guiding light is the land use plan. And if it says, no residential units, I'm not going to approve residential units. The reason I was against it is because it took the place and an opportunity for a business to be there. And there's an opportunity in our town to have more businesses located here and have a better mix of business to residential. And it doesn't tax our constraints in the same way that residential does. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Johnson, please keep your answer as short as possible. Do you believe in placing a cap on residential development in Cornelius?
No.
Thank you. Time flies when you're having fun. We are coming up on the end of our evening together with the commissioners. We do have the mayoral candidates next, so I am going to do the last questions, and I will go right to left, as I said I would in the beginning. Mr. Sansbury, why should people vote for you?
Yeah, thank you, Justin. Again, thank you for this forum tonight. So I think in politics, at whatever level, there's a lack of accountability. So if elected, I'm asking you to hold me accountable. You're welcome to call me. We'll go out and get coffee or a beer, and we will have a discussion about the merits of what's best for this town. If you want an elected official who's going to rubber stamp projects and follow the status quo, then I'm probably not the best choice. I know when we first started, there were several issues that we pushed back on. When we were told that new pickleball and tennis courts would take 3 years, we pushed back and the staff found a way to expedite that. When we were told that the road projects would cost the town more than expected, the board and staff worked hard to get matching funds. And like I said before, for every dollar, we get $14 from the state. When previous leadership told us that we could not consider schools and roads when we looked at high density projects, we found out that was incorrect, and we put that in our equation for the town. I have a full-time job. I ran for commissioner 4 years ago to make pragmatic, reasonable, and efficient decisions for this town. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Osbourne, why should people vote for you?
Because I've done what I said I was going to do. You know where I stand, and you know what I'll do. for roads, and everyone has asked for transportation and traffic flow improvements. We had 13 North Carolina DOT projects approved. We had 0 when we started. We have US 21, 38% complete, POTS 26, North Cross Extension 18, Bailey Road funding has been secured, and West Catawba is still delayed, but is still contracted. You guys asked for a slowdown in residential growth. I helped create and facilitated the Growth Management Task Force, where we greatly reduced residential development. You asked for more parks and better quality of life. We just, last week, we're supposed to hold a grand opening for 10 new pickleball and 12 tennis courts over there at Bailey Road. You asked for public safety improvements. We fully funded the police every time it was asked for. We made sure they were fully funded, as well as transitioned the fire department. We also took on things that maybe the town wasn't even aware of, like medic. And we were fighting for improvements to medic for our community. And we've kept the taxes low all the while. And we didn't do it by cutting services. We did it by being smart with our money. I helped the town gain $20 million in discretional grant funds for roads in 2024 alone.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Johnson, why should people vote for you?
Thank you. Thank you, Justin, for moderating, and thank you, Bill, in the chamber. As I said at the beginning, I am absolutely committed to listening to our citizens, to advocate for our citizens on the public safety, infrastructure, smart managed growth, all the things that we've discussed today. And most importantly, transparent communication. That's one of the things that for many years we did not have, and you guys did not have. And I think as a board, we have done a really good job of ensuring that we communicate, whether it be in social media, whether it be in a newsletter, so that we can make sure that you guys are informed as to what's going on. And that is key to listening to our citizens, and then providing results. I've done a lot of things, as these guys have said, fought to continue funding for the full-time fire department. I advocated to make sure that we had 3 additional crosswalks that were not included in the original budget. And that was huge from a public safety and walkability perspective. And if I am reelected, I will continue to balance progress with preservation to support the overall quality of life that we all should have and continue to have and do have currently in Cornelius. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Furcht, why should people vote for you?
When I sat in this seat 4 years ago and asked for your vote, I had no idea what I was doing. And it was scary, but the good news is I learned a lot in the first 2 years. I've certainly learned a lot in these last 2 years on the planning board. So I feel I bring that experience and leadership with me, that I've talked the talk and walked the walk. And I told everybody I was going to listen. I told you I was not going to approve high density projects, and we were going to be very specific in the things that we did. And we took that time out. We laugh about the M word. You can't say moratorium during the couple of elections ago, right? People get in trouble for that. Well, we did that. And we took an 18-month time out, as we called it. And I think being part of that team, being part of that mindset will continue for me, because I think it's important that folks know that we are listening. We live here. We want the same quality of life that you all do. And I'm that common sense, get down in the weeds, let's figure this out and let's get it done kind of person. So I ask for another opportunity to serve you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. DeVoney, why should people vote for you?
Well, based on my experience in business, but not my experience in local governance. I'm interested in serving my community because I've had that experience. I've worked and done business with firms in the entire lower 48. I've worked in 5 provinces in Canada, Central Asia, Mexico, Western Europe, as a supply chain consultant, as somebody that helps people figure out how to spend their money. So spend management is something I'm really good at. That's directly applicable to any government. The P&L that I was responsible for in my last job is $240 million. So that's 6 times the operating budget of this town. $240 million, when I started with that firm, it was at $80 million. The number of employees went from 80 to 320. I'm somebody that can manage a business, solve problems, and hit the objectives. That's my experience. In general, I'm running to provide balance on this board. I'm running for progressive values and to place that voice of progressive values on the board, and I'm running to serve my community. I look forward to your vote.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Carney, why should people vote for you?
Yeah, so when the community voted for me almost 2 years ago, I was in the fortunate position. I knew exactly what to do the moment I came up to the dais, and I've been putting that in implementation ever since. I campaigned on redeveloping community balance, being both a place that you could live, work, and play. And all of the work that I've done since I've been here has been specifically to create that for the community. I've always been candid. I've been very honest. I've been very transparent with the community, with the citizens when we have a conversation, sometimes to my own detriment. I've even had the times where I've had to tell people I might not be your candidate based on our differences of opinions, but I try to be very honest about where I stand on things. And I'll always commit to the community that I will do that. Whether it means I'm your guy or not, it's okay. The things I've really focused on: dramatically slowed residential overdevelopment, kept our taxes the lowest in the region while strengthening our town's financial resources, ensured funding our police and fire departments to keep Cornelius safe, and oversaw more road projects currently underway than in any other time in Cornelius' history. I hope you guys will again vote for me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you again, all candidates that are here. Thank you to the crowd tonight for being here. We appreciate it. Appreciate all the questions. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and up next, the mayoral candidates for the town of Cornelius.